What is envy? Envy is the desire to have a quality, possession, or other desirable attribute belonging to someone else. People who envy your life, envy your happiness, envy your relationship, envy the things you have, they will go to any length to hurt you. When a woman is envious of another woman, she gets very obsessed with keeping you isolated from the pack. She does not want you to be around other people. This is what you typically see in envious, jealous, controlling friendships. There are some women who cannot really be friends with another woman who has a lot of likability, a lot of respect. She's beautiful. Other people are drawn to her. Women who call themselves friends with other women who are like that and they are jealous and envious of her, they always try their best to make sure they hold some kind of control over her. These are your women who are oftentimes friends with women who are not on their same low vibe. Women who are very jealous, envious, manipulative, and know how to use manipulation to control other people, they often find themselves being in friendships with people who feel for them. Women who are naturally kind, sweet, feminine, more soft in nature, they are so empathetic sometimes to the point where they don't understand the friend that you're giving the benefit of the doubt to, the friend that you're trying to see the best in, the friend that you're trying to help out. They're very envious of you, and because of that, they want to control you. Women who are envious of other women, sometimes they have the same mindset that an envious or jealous man would have toward a woman. They have that if I can't have you, nobody else can have you type of mentality. These are your women who get upset and jealous when you hang out with somebody different than them, when you do something without them, when you buy something without them. They are very controlling. They feel like your whole life should be consumed with them. And if other people like you, they don't like you. They envy the fact that other people actually like having you around and that your sole focus is not about them. I read a story recently about a case of an unfortunate incident of a young lady who lost her life back in 2022. The story was about Mimi and Mo. Mimi was the young lady who actually lost her life. This was a beautiful young woman. She had a roommate, which for me is strike number one, but she had a roommate named Mo, and this woman was very controlling, very jealous, very envious of her. Everything they did, the way the reporters described their relationship, they said that they were as tight. They were very tight. They were always together. They were always doing different stuff together. They were always going out together. Their whole friendship was just about them. Like they were very, very close. I know some people might see this as a positive, but because of the outcome of this story, I'm going to tell you why sometimes being close to a female, being that super tight with another woman can sometimes be a negative, especially if you're overlooking the red flags that are right in your face. When a woman desires to control you, principle number one, envy likes to control. So when somebody thinks that, there's certain traits about you, let me backtrack. There are certain traits about you that they absolutely love, but they don't love it in a healthy way. They love it in an obsessive, creepy, stalker kind of way. They love your personality and your presence so much so that they become possessive. An envious woman toward another woman, as I said before, is much like a man. They want to control you. All of the beautiful, wonderful qualities about you, they think it should be for them and them only. And when you're not allowing yourself to be isolated in that way, that's when an envious person can get very jealous. See, envious people, sometimes they feel like you don't deserve what you have, but people who are envious and controlling and possessive over you, they feel like nobody else should have access to you but them. But Mimi and Mo, back to that story. Mimi, she actually made plans to go on a trip without Mo. She wanted to hang out with some other friends. It wasn't malicious or anything. She just made plans without her. And Mo, she snapped. She didn't like the fact that she was doing something without her. And this brings me to another point, because I've heard of some women, and this is, you would think this is like high school mentality, but unfortunately, you have a lot of grown women who still think this way. The moment you're friends with somebody outside of them, they start treating you differently. The moment your life starts revolving around something other than just constantly following after them, they start hating you and disliking you and looking for ways to sabotage the things you have going on. But Mo, she did not like the idea that Mimi made plans to go out of town without her. Now, there's some speculation that they actually had a relationship. I'm not going to pretend to understand, but that's a strong possibility based on the outcome of how everything went down, because that definitely sounds like some kind of passionate crime, which is crazy. But even if it was not that, there are some women, just because they feel like they should always have access to you and that your life should revolve around them, when you don't give that to them, they snap. They begin to crash out. Or at the least, they begin to hate you and treat you very nastily. But this young lady, unfortunately, she paid the ultimate price. And I was also hearing that not only, they were friends, but this woman who did this to her, she was taking advantage of her. She didn't have a job. The person who unfortunately took this young lady's life, she didn't have a job. She wasn't contributing anything to their household. They were roommates, and yet Mimi, the young lady who lost her life, she was contributing everything. She was paying for her food. She was paying for her upkeep. She was, she was a friend to this young lady, from what I was hearing. And from what other people said about her, she was goofy. She was nice. They showed her, said she was beautiful. She just sparkled wherever she was at. People just enjoyed being around her. Unfortunately, and this is not to say, because that young lady sounds like she was an absolute joy to be around and that she was blessed to have that kind of character, that kind of personality. I would never say for you to dumb down your personality or your character in order to make a hater, a jealous person, an envious person feel comfortable. I will not say that. But what I will say is that some of us have to start treating ourselves more sacred and being more exclusive with who we allow access to us. There's nothing unhumble or non-humble about being exclusive with yourself, about treating yourself as sacred and recognizing that you are unique, that you are different, that your personality is not like the average woman out here. Because a lot of women, like I've said before, they will take advantage of that sweet spirit. And you have to be aware when somebody is taking advantage of you and when somebody is being a little bit too controlling with you. That woman sounded like she wanted her to herself. They even said that she tried to isolate her from her family. She didn't want her going to different gatherings and things like that, which further makes me think that they were more than roommates. But even still, I have heard and seen in some regular friendships how other women get very jealous when you do something outside of them. That's a lot of the reason why a lot of women prefer to have a lot of acquaintances and, maybe persons that they hang out with once in a while, but nobody they're really that tight with. Because unfortunately, to an envious person, sometimes that means being really tight with them means that they own you, that they control you. And when you start getting whiffed of the fact that they're trying to control you, they start using manipulation. They said this young lady, Mo, she would actually fake seizures in order to gain empathy from Mimi. Envious people, jealous people for that fact too, they know how to use manipulation in order to tug at your heartstrings. They know how to play on those strong qualities about you, that empathy, that sympathy that you show toward other people. They know how to tug on your heartstrings and manipulate people into falling for their tricks. If they really want control over you, if they're envious of other people wanting you or wanting you around or wanting you to do different things, they start implementing manipulation. And unfortunately, it seems like this young lady, she was so empathetic. She was so, there for her. She really cared for her as a friend should. But you have to understand when somebody is being possessive of you. Nobody has a right to control your comings and goings unless you're a child. Nobody has a right to tell you where you can't go or how you can move or what you can't wear or what you can't do. And then people, they even said that this young lady, because she was such a bright light, she was having such a good time. She actually, they had an argument because she was smiling and, doing all these different things. She was a beautiful person and she didn't like the attention that she was getting from other people. That is possessive. That is somebody trying to control you. And envy likes to control. If this young lady didn't have a sweet personality, if this young lady didn't have that likability, if other people were not drawn to this young lady, I'm sure she would care less. But when people are envious of the qualities about you, when people are envious of the fact that how you are gained you a lot of respect, a lot of opportunity, you have people that want to be around you, they feel like they're in some kind of danger of losing you. And in a way, it seems like this person, Mo, she actually feared that she was going to lose Mimi, so she had to do something about it. Beware of friends who feel like that you are their possession, that somehow you their property because you're their friend. I've seen this in high schools, I've seen this in college age kids, and unfortunately, I haven't seen this with some grown people where they have all out arguments because now a woman is hanging out with a new person. They have this whole no new friends mentality. You have some grown women who have that no new friends. Like, oh, I don't want you hanging out with her. Why are you hanging out with her? So you didn't invite me, but you invited her. As if every single thing that you do has to be about them. Envy likes to control. Ladies, unfortunately, there will be some people who are very uncomfortable with the level of success that you're achieving. They will feel resentment and envy towards you the more that you do in your life. Case in point, there's a young lady in Houston who was about to graduate from nursing school, and she's an influencer, I believe, on TikTok. She would encourage other women who are also in nursing school and give them different tips and tricks and strategies on how to successfully pass and graduate from nursing school. Well, this young lady, she had a roommate, a 40-year-old man. She's 23, and he was her roommate. And long story short, he ended her life, unfortunately, over what I hear is a cat. And the way he did this, I'm not going to get into the details, but this seemed like it was more than just over a cat. He had some pent-up hostility, pent-up resentment toward this woman, and I believe it was because he envied her life, because he was resentful toward her and the things that she was accomplishing. When people have bitterness, envy, resentment, when they develop jealousy toward your life, your lifestyle, the way that you move, people will not hesitate to be bitter and miserable toward you, and they often make a mountain out of a molehill, meaning they make things bigger than what they have to be. There are some people, because of your level of success, because of the way you operate and the fact that you are confident in what you do, that you're successful and that you're accomplishing more than the average person, some people will look to be offended with you. They will be defensive towards you. They will look to have an issue with you, even if you're not making an issue for them. There are some people, because they are not confident and or secure in the season of their life, they want to make you feel bad about the season of your life. They don't want you to feel too confident or comfortable, or they don't want you to be more optimistic or hopeful about your life simply because they are unfulfilled in their own. When it gets to the point that people monitor you and watch how you move, and they grow more and more resentful of you over time, that can absolutely be dangerous and turn into the situation that I just mentioned. I believe, especially when it comes to jealousy and envy, and when it's a man towards a woman, as I've mentioned in another video about how men can be just as jealous of women as women are jealous of women, when a man has envy or resentment toward a woman, toward her success, it can cut really deep. And this man does not have to be somebody that you're in a relationship with. This person was her roommate. And I am sure, just looking at his background and the fact that he had previous convictions, and from what I hear, they were in an apartment complex where the landlords actually pair the people together, even if they don't know one another. I've never heard of anything like that happening, but this is what they said was the case according to the article that I read. But this young lady, she was in a room. She was in an apartment with a 40-year-old man. She was a 23-year-old woman, successfully graduating nursing school and had influence on TikTok. In today's age, when you are a woman, a person in general, who has that influencer status, this is the point number one. When you are a woman that has an influencer status, when you are making an impact in some way, when your name is becoming known and people are starting to recognize you in a positive way, you are going to attract haters. You are going to attract jealous people, and some of those people might be under your own roof or in your own family. And it's very important that you watch out for how you move around those people. Wait a minute. I can hear somebody saying, I shouldn't have to change how I am because they're insecure. That's their problem. That's their issue. I'm going to do me. I understand all of that. And I'm not saying that you should not do you. But as wise women, because we understand that it's not about us, we are not the problem. It is the fact that we live in a world where people are bitter and jealous and miserable and envious of other people. You have to operate in a way that allows you to protect yourself. And that's why you have to move strategically, especially when you are accomplishing a lot of things or when you are leveling up. You do not want to ever put yourself in a position where you have people, you are inviting people to somehow try to create some kind of confusion or drama or chaos in your life. Even if you don't invite it, it can happen. But as leveled up women, as confident women, as accomplished women, we have to be mindful and know how to read the energy and read the room of the people we're around. I guarantee you this clown that she was living with, this 40-year-old clown, this 40-year-old Dusty that took it upon himself to take this young lady's life, I guarantee you that, she was just being a young lady. She's 23 years old, was 23 years old, just living her life, doing the influencing thing, graduating from nursing school. She probably did not notice that every time she was making a video, she had Dust Bucket McGee over there looking at her like, or walking through the room just loathing her and can't stand the sound of her voice, all because she's doing something that he is not, because he's 40-year-old sharing a room with a 23-year-old young lady. Think about that. There are some people, some men and women alike, who grow resentful of people who are not on the same level as them. And I know this might sound some kind of way to people because, they say, well, nobody's better than anybody else. That is true. But some people perceive themselves to be less than other people because they get threatened by the success of other individuals. And I'm not saying this is the exact case or what happened with these people. I don't know the exact circumstances. But I can say just my intuition and wisdom that God has given me tells me that for a man to take her out of here in the way that he did, and I did a little bit of studying in criminal justice, that kind of crime is not something where it's just on the cuff. I just did this because I lost my temper. I wasn't thinking. This was a deliberate attack on this young lady. Look it up. Young lady in Houston who was about to graduate from nursing school. The way he did what he did to her, supposedly over a cat, it had to be more to it than that. When somebody commits a crime toward you that seems like it's overboard, it's often because the person already has some kind of pent-up hostility, some kind of issues against the person. And when the person that is the target of their crime, of their hate, of their insecurity, it's because they see you living your life loudly and proudly and happy, and they're unhappy in theirs. And because of that, as women, especially when you're accomplishing things and you're starting to make an impact and your name is being known by people, you're making an influence. You have to be the kind of woman who lives strategically, meaning, number one, put yourself in hiding. What do I mean, put yourself in hiding? When you are accomplishing things, you want to make sure that you're not living loudly and showing your success to people who are dismal, meaning they're stagnant, they're unhappy, they have unhappy, negative, depressing energy all of the time. Those are not the people you want to be happy about your success around. Yes, it sucks. It sucks that you feel like you have to monitor how you operate because you might genuinely just be minding your business and living your life. But unfortunately, we live in a society where a lot of people don't want to see you do that. You being unbothered tends to bother other people. And because of that, you have to be strategic in how you live your life. So this young lady, I'll give you an example, and I don't know her, but I'll just use myself as an example. If I was in a home or in a place where I'm doing YouTube, I'm doing these videos, and I see just from being on the internet how some people can absolutely resent and dislike a woman who is actually helping people or making an impact or have a difference of opinion. When you know you're dealing with those kind of things, you have to make sure you operate in a way where you're not inviting more issues than what you already have. Back to the point of having someone in the home that's a hater. If I had somebody in my home, unfortunately, that's a hater, which I don't, I would understand and know that when I do my thing, I just do my thing and keep it to myself. I don't have to talk to them about the subject matter. I don't have to talk to them about, how the channel's going, how this is going, how that's going. I just quietly be successful. A lot of women get so hyped up in their success, hyped up in the things that they're doing, that they start sharing all of their different achievements with haters, with people who display dead, depressing energy, and then you wonder why you're not getting that support. Or you wonder why you suddenly don't feel as motivated as you used to feel. I truly believe that there are some people who are those kind of like monitoring spirits, those energy siphons, who like to deplete your energy with their negative moods and attitudes. These are often your narcissistic personalities who feel like because they're down, everybody else should be down, and they want all of the focus and attention to be on them, not even in a positive way. As long as they can somehow direct your positivity onto their negativity, they feel good. And if you're not aware of what they're doing, they will be successful. That's why you have to live strategically as a woman as you begin to achieve things, level up, and accomplish your goals. You have to, number one, put yourself in hiding, meaning don't share your success with dead energy people. If you have a roommate who is coming off as a bum, I just have to say how it is. I'm not saying that to put people down. I'm saying that because there are some people who display bum behavior. Just like this guy who did what he did to this 23-year-old young lady, he was a bum. He is a bum because of what he did over a cat. Think about that. A man being so upset with a woman that he does what he did to her to that extent over a cat. No, he was a jealous, envious, bitter hater who wanted to blow out the light of this lady who was shining so brightly. And that's the way a lot of negative, jealous, resentful people act. And because of that, it's not about them, it's about you. You have to protect yourself by going into hiding. Quietly live successful. Quietly achieve your wins. Don't share it with the wrong people. Know how to read the energy of the people you're around and know when they have hater tendencies and keep everything quiet. Number one. Number two, if you can help it, and I know this has to deal with more monetary kind of things, but if you are able to, don't have a roommate, live alone, and do the things you need to do on your own. I'm not saying that you should not seek outside help if you need it, But when it comes to business ventures, when it comes to leveling up your finances, when it comes to accomplishing financial wealth, moving into a different atmosphere, whatever you're doing, you want to do those things alone. Especially when you are a woman who knows exactly what you want to accomplish and the kind of life you want to live. You don't need any outside input or opinions from people who are going to do nothing but get in the way anyway. I think a lot of women, when you're looking to build a life for yourself, especially once you get into your 30s, pushing toward 40, your late 20s, and you start really understanding what you want out of life and how you want to live, the kind of lifestyle you want to live, that is not the time to have a lot of people around you. You want to get into solitude and actually structure your life, get with God the way I see it, but structure your life in a way that you don't have to deal with all these outside issues from weird acting, weirdo energy people. I don't know, people's finances, everybody's finances are different, but when you're trying to accomplish things, you need to be able to sit in a room by yourself and think about what you want to do. I'll use this YouTube channel as an example. When I decided to do this YouTube channel, I didn't get around a lot of different people asking them their opinions. I got into this room. I have 4 rooms. I got into this middle room and I wrote down notes, and day after day after day, I pondered within myself. And, I got wisdom from God on what I should do next, on what this channel should be about. I saw a vision for my own life and how I wanted to live, how I wanted to be as a woman. And I started strategically putting things in place so that I alone, as a person, can fulfill those things with the help of God, of course. But I say that to say that when you're trying to accomplish things, you don't need a lot of input from other people, because inviting a lot of opinions and ideas, it does nothing but confuse the situation to me, in my opinion, especially when you pretty much already know what you want to do. So living alone, being alone for a time, it's absolutely necessary. This young lady, if you're in college, if you are able to afford to live by yourself or still live at home so that you can have that peaceful place, hopefully, where you can think about what you want to do that. But don't invite strangers into your situations. For me, and this is just my opinion, the dynamic of having a 23-year-old woman and a 40-year-old man that's not related or in a relationship, living in the same roof, and she's doing her thing and he's just hanging around, to me, that's just not good. I just, for my daughter, I would not want her to be in that situation. Some 40-year-old guy. 40 is not old, but compared to 23, it's like, what do you have in common? And then the lifestyle is different. You have to make sure that you're with people, under the same roof with people who respect how you're living and what you're doing. And something tells me, this is just my opinion, that this man didn't respect what she was doing. And a lot of men, when they're jealous of women, they don't respect what you do. They already feel like jealous men, intimidated by men, feminine men, already feel like a woman living in her greatness and living in her gifts and skills and talents, they already feel like you do too much when they're jealous. So as women, you really have to be able to monitor that energy and make sure you're not around someone who is pretty much wishing for your demise. But ladies, living strategically is going to help you when you are around people, to save yourself from being around people who don't really want to see you succeeding. Your success triggers jealousy and envy and resentment in some people who are not fulfilled in their own lives. And when you are a little bit too loud and proud about what you do, you are going to have people who are going to resent you. If you don't have to be around those people, then who cares? But if you find yourself in a situation where some of your biggest haters are under your own roof, you have to learn how to live strategically and move in a way that is more covert, more quiet, so that people are not